Welcome to Let's Make Cake. I'm your host, Michelle Pyle, and we are here to help you overcome depression and anxiety and make a new life because that's what I did. And so I'm here to help you through that process. So today, this actually came up um, actually in the middle of the night in some text messaging with a family member. So I thought this would be a perfect topic for today. And it is when people tell you upsetting things, don't get upset, which is actually harder than it sounds. But for some of us, like me, and perhaps like you, some of us have a tendency when someone tells us something that's upsetting, like someone has mistreated them, or there's some, injustice, or they've been wronged, or there's a bad situation or a difficult situation, and they're upset. Our initial sort of response is to be as upset, if not more upset. Sometimes that happens where we're even more upset than they are. And it's just not super helpful for the situation. And it's not helpful for your relationship. It's actually not helpful for the other person. It might sort of feel good in the moment to be upset. And certainly you can have a small dose of that, but you don't want to get stuck there because being upset isn't actually doesn't get you anywhere, right? It kind of gets you just stuck where you are. It's just you're both upset now. And so how is that helpful? And it's important to know that like getting upset because somebody else is upset is not actually empathy. I think sometimes we think that's how I can show that I care about this person. But yeah, being upset is not actually what empathy looks like or feels like or how it should operate in a relationship. So I'm just gonna go to my notes here because I have some middle of the night notes. um, oh yeah, so I spent my entire 20s basically upset. I was upset for myself, like every situation where I felt someone was, treating me unkindly or disrespecting me, I was just upset. And then I was equally, if not more, upset for other people who were in other situations that where they were being disrespected or mistreated. Total waste of time. It turns out it's actually not helpful at all for you, for your life, for your relationships, right? So it might feel good, but it doesn't actually function. It doesn't move you forward. Um, Again, like of course, spend some time, being upset. That's fine, but like don't get stuck there. Don't stay there, and do not operate from that place. That will really, it's just not helpful. Um, and at the same time, I'm not saying don't care, right? So some people are like, oh, I never get upset. That's not what I'm saying, right? So that's the other extreme. So you've got this one extreme where you're very sort of volatile and you easily get upset and you're hot tempered or your tempers flare. Probably you grew up in some sort of family dynamic, like myself, where that was role modeled to you like all the time, right? Like the response is if someone is said the wrong thing or did the wrong thing, get upset, be mad. So that's kind of this one extreme. The other extreme, which some people who also grew up in those environments, this is like a coping mechanism. They have like this wall. They seem very cold. They have almost no response. So actually, neither are helpful, right? Because you're both in both extremes. You're not addressing what's actually happening, and you're not moving yourself forward or your relationships forward. So you don't want to be always upset, and you equally don't want to be sort of that cold wall, nothing will touch me, right? Because that's actually not healthy or productive either. You want to find that middle. And if you have not had the middle role model to you, you're going to want to spend some time thinking about like, well, what does that look like? So if someone comes to me and they're upset, what does it look like for me to operate from the middle? So you want to you want to listen, right? You want to understand what's going on, what happened, have them tell you a couple times. That's actually going to help them because they're going to, the more they sort of are able to communicate it and process it, they're going to calm down also. So, yeah, so you want to make that space in your conversation where they feel comfortable talking and be like, oh yeah, so and what was that again? The first, like, have them repeat it a couple times. That's going to help you understand, and it's also going to help them understand what's happening. And then you want to help them articulate their feelings. So, and how does that make you feel? Like, how are you feeling right now? And then you ultimately you want to talk about, and what can we do? And it's great, like, if you want to show up for people, because I know I want to show up for people and help them. Sometimes we want to come with a solution. It's very tempting. But other times it's better if we can just say, like, well, what do you think? Like, what are some options? How could we, like, deal with this and move forward, to, like, help resolve this situation? And so those are kind of the components of what the ideal middle would look like when someone's super upset and they come to you with something that's occurring in their life and they're looking for someone to talk to about it. So if that's what it looks like, how do you get there? So, like, if you are someone who gets extremely hot fast, such as I was, like, my entire life, you have to break that pattern of immediately getting upset and immediately being like, da 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 da, F this, F that, that person's terrible. Like, how could they do this to you? This is a da 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 da, right? You're just escalating. Not helpful. If that's your immediate response, you have to, like, find a way to break that pattern. And there's a couple different things I have used or I've learned and then applied in those situations. And I'm happy to say that if you do this work, you can really, like, you can get there, which is amazing, especially as someone like me who was just, always upset. It seemed like that was just my reaction, was to just always be upset. And now I'm much more calm and able to deal with situations, and I'm not upset all the time. And it's important to know that just because someone's upset and is coming to you, they're not actually asking you to be just as upset as they are. I think sometimes we mistake that. We think, oh, they're looking for me to be just as upset as them. That's not always the case. So that's important to remember, that that's not always what they want. And if it is what they want, it's actually, if that's not actually healthy, you can role model better, like, responses to situations and actually end up helping them, which is a lot better than being the person that gets just as mad as they do and then escalating situations, right? This happens all the time, especially in families. Escalating situations, you're not going to get anywhere. So there's kind of two things going on there. When someone comes to you and they're super upset, sometimes they don't actually want you to be as upset as they are. So you're not doing any favors by being upset. Sometimes they do want you to be as upset as they are, but that's actually not going to help them. So you want to keep that in mind. Anyway, to break that kind of cycle of sort of tempers flaring, there's a couple things. So the first one is, and I heard this in some kind of Zoom conference learning thing I did, and unfortunately I don't remember the woman's name. If I find it, I'll definitely add it in the description because it really jumped out at me. And the topic was boundaries, right? Because a lot of this, you'll hear me talk about boundaries. Boundaries is huge in relationships, and you need to have them. But she was kind of like me, where when people would come to her, she thought every problem was, hers to fix, right? Like, I'm Mr. Fix-It. I'm here to help. That's my role in every relationship that I'm in. And she said, so I started using this visual, and it's a little gross, but it works, especially if, like, you have a hard time with this. She said, I just started imagining other people's problems as, like, if you're in a city or a situation where you're out walking and you see, like, dog poo on the ground, right? Like that's not your job to clean that up, right? That's not your dog's poo. That's somebody else's. And so you can see it, you can be like, yep, that's a problem. And then but you move on, you keep going. It's not for you to clean up, to carry, to find the trash can. Um, and so that's kind of a weird, like stark visual, but like when someone comes to you, it helps to just have a visual where you're like, oh, that's not my dog's poo. So I'm just gonna listen to this person, but like this is not mine to clean up. So that's kind of one sort of just visual to help you through those moments. The second one is the one I use the most, and this helped me with lots of situations as someone who is very emotional and reactionary. And growing up, I was sensitive, all these names that we give people, and it's like, which is fine, but it would have been great if someone had just taught me this like pretty simple skill that I've since used and has completely transformed my life and my relationships. Wish I had known about it sooner. That's okay. But it's called Ride the Wave. So it's this idea that like if your emotions come in like these giant waves, which is how I kind of experience them, especially when someone's upset and they're coming to me and I care about this person and they've been mistreated or whatever, misunderstood or whatever the situation is. That wave of emotion, like it's big, it's powerful, it's coming, and like there's nothing I can do to stop it. So you want to do what's called a grounding exercise. It's one of those psychological terms, but it's actually super effective. So you can Google grounding exercises and get a whole list of them. I'm just going to tell you what I tried a bunch of them. This is the one that worked for me. It is also helpful because you can do it and nobody knows you're doing it. So that's good in these situations when you're usually around other people. So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you're going to engage all 5 senses. So I will look for 5 like shades of green, say. And so I'll go around the room and I'll be like, okay, 1 shade of green, 2, 3, until I reach 5. I'll do 4 sounds. So I'll listen for 4 different sounds. So I can hear kind of the buzz of my computer. Right now I'm talking, so I can hear my voice. I hear a bird chirp, wherever you're at. So 4 sounds. 3, I'll touch 3 different textures or fabrics. So like this piece of paper I have over here on my desk, my blouse, maybe my hair. 2, I'll do 2 sort of scents. So if I'm drinking like a cup of coffee, I'll smell the coffee. Or if I have perfume on, I'll smell that. And then 1, taste something. So if I have a glass of water, I'll taste that. Or if I have nothing, I'll just lick my lips and taste that. But it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, engaging all 5 senses. And this is what's so cool, right? When you do that, you're not thinking about the situation that you're being faced with. And your whole physiology will change. And that will help you think clearer and more calm and rational. So it's just going to calm everything down. It really is crazy and powerful and totally works. Now you might still be talking, and so you might find yourself upset again in 5 minutes, and then you can do the Ride the Wave grounding exercise. Again, you do it as many times as you need to. And then the next step, which is just as important, right? So you want to calm everything down. And then you want to investigate your feelings and what's going on. And this is a process, and it takes time, and overnight won't be like magic bells won't be going, or light bulbs, magic bells won't be going off. It's a process. But when you start to say, okay, what's the situation? And if you can take pen to paper, that's really helpful. I know not everybody loves to do that, but it will help you understand what's going on in your head. So yeah, I take pen to paper. And I say, okay, what's the situation? So I'll kind of write out some bullet points. And then what am I feeling? And right, anger's okay, I'm angry, I'm upset. But then like go to the next level. Like, oh, I'm feeling, maybe I'm feeling rejected or whatever, but you want to get more detailed on your feelings that you're actually experiencing. And you're going to start to identify patterns like the more you do this. And you'll find there's only like 3 to 4 like recurring themes that cause you to get this upset, which is actually super helpful because then you're like, oh, okay. So for example, for me, rejection like is one emotion. When I experience it, I get super upset. I'm crying. I'm a total mess. And now that I know, like, okay, that's when I'm feeling rejected, that's triggering for me. And then you can, of course, work with a therapist and find out where all that comes from, which is also super fun. But like until all of that, right? Like you have these 2 tools, like ride the wave grounding exercise to calm you down, and then be your own investigator of like, what am I feeling and why? And then there is so much power in just those 2 things. You will start to show yourself, I'm capable, I can do this, I know what's going on, I'm understanding my emotions, I'm learning that I actually can control how I respond and how I react, which is, if you're someone who just never learned that, right? We grow up in volatile households, then we have volatile relationships and friendships, and it's just sort of this thing we keep doing again and again and again and again, and it's what we know. When you start to change that, it is so powerful. I mean, I was like, I'm Superwoman. Like, I just felt like, I can't believe, I don't have a personality disorder. Nobody taught me like these tools and how to be this sort of calm, rational person who can think through problems and understand what I'm feeling and why. Because there's validity in what you're feeling. Like, it's not to sweep away these issues that someone has mistreated, your friend or you, right? It's not to avoid that. It's to come at it from a totally empowered way, and you can actually start to make change in your life, which is just super cool. And if you can model that to people who come to you who are super upset, you are going to help them 10 times more than just being upset with them. And that is so cool. And it helps you and it helps them. And then your relationship is just going to become stronger and more productive and healthy. And that's what this is all about. So I want to make sure I hit everything here. Yeah, I think I did. So when people tell you upsetting things, don't get upset. That's not the answer. That's not what empathy is. That's not what it looks like. And it's not going to help your relationship. So instead, you want to learn how to live in that middle, right? Where you're not cold, but you're not, overreacting and super reactive. You want to be able to exist in that middle where you're like, okay, what's going on? Let's talk about this. What are our options? This is really helpful, and I see this a lot in like marriages or significant other relationships, a lot of family dynamics. We want to defend those who we care about, and that I'm not suggesting not to do that, but we want to help them first. Be like, okay, what's going on here? And let's talk about what our options are instead of just, yeah. So that's today's message. Thank you guys. And yeah, that's all. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Substack. For all those links, you can go to letsmakecake.org. Thanks, guys. Bye.